The bar was crowded. Friday night in a military town meant soldiers everywhere. Music blaring, voices shouting over each other. The constant noise of people trying to forget about work and deployment schedules and the stress of military life. Lieutenant Maya Rodriguez sat at the corner of the bar, nursing a beer she hadn't touched in 20 minutes. She wasn't there to drink, wasn't there to socialize. She was there because her unit had insisted. Team bonding, mandatory fun, the kind of social obligation that came with being a platoon leader. She'd show her face for an hour, then disappear. That was the plan. Maya was 29 years old, 5'7", athletic build, dark hair pulled back in a ponytail. She wore jeans and a plain black t-shirt. Nothing that drew attention, nothing that screamed military. She preferred to blend in. She'd been in the Army for 7 years, combat arms officer, 2 deployments, 1 to Iraq, 1 to Afghanistan. She'd seen action, led soldiers under fire, earned her combat infantryman badge, earned respect from her troops. But respect from her troops didn't mean respect from random strangers in bars. Especially not in this town. Especially not from the kind of men who saw a woman alone and assumed she was there for their entertainment. Maya felt him before she saw him. The shift in air, the presence behind her, the awareness that came from too many years of training to notice threats. A hand landed on her shoulder, heavy, presumptuous, unwelcome. "Hey there, sweetheart. You look lonely. Want some company?" Maya's jaw tightened. She didn't turn around. "Remove your hand." The man laughed. His breath smelled like whiskey. "Oh, come on. Don't be like that. I'm just trying to be friendly." "Remove your hand." "Or what? You gonna get tough with me?" His grip tightened on her shoulder. Not painful yet, but threatening, a show of dominance, a test to see if she'd back down. Maya moved. It happened in less than 2 seconds. She grabbed his wrist with her left hand, twisted, rotated her body, used his own grip against him. His hand came off her shoulder, his arm extended. His balance shifted forward. Maya pulled, used his momentum, drove his face down toward the bar, stopped it an inch from the wooden surface. Her other hand secured his arm behind his back. Pressure on his wrist, control on his elbow, perfect joint lock. The man was face down on the bar, completely immobilized. He tried to struggle. Maya applied more pressure. He stopped immediately. The pain was too much. The bar went quiet, everyone staring. The music still played, but the conversation stopped. 30 people watching a woman half the man's size control him completely. Before we continue, hit that subscribe button right now and stay with this story all the way to the end. Drop a comment telling me what city you're watching from. I want to see how far this story reaches. "When someone tells you to remove your hand," Maya said quietly, "you remove your hand. You don't ask questions. You don't argue. You don't test them. You just do it. Understand?" The man grunted something that might have been agreement. Maya released him, stepped back, put space between them. Her hands were relaxed at her sides, but her posture was ready, alert, prepared for him to do something stupid. The man straightened up. His face was red, from anger or embarrassment or both. His friends were at a table nearby, watching, laughing, making comments. "You crazy bitch," he snarled. "You could have broken my arm. Could have. Didn't. Consider it a lesson in manners. I was just trying to talk to you. By grabbing me without permission? That's not talking, that's assault. Be grateful I didn't break your arm. Next time I will." The man looked like he wanted to escalate, wanted to save face in front of his friends, his hands clenched into fists. He took a step toward Maya. the bartender intervened. "That's enough, Kyle. Get out. You're done for the night." "She assaulted me." "You put your hands on her first." "I saw it. Everyone saw it. You're lucky she just embarrassed you instead of putting you in the hospital. Now get out before I call the cops." Kyle looked around. Saw no support, saw only people staring at him with contempt or amusement. His friends were still laughing. He'd become the joke. He turned and stormed out, slammed the door behind him. The bar slowly returned to normal. Conversations resumed. Music got louder. People went back to their drinks. Maya sat back down, picked up her beer. Still hadn't taken a sip. The bartender approached. "That was impressive. Where'd you learn to move like that?" "Army, combatives training." "You active duty, son?" "Yes." "Figured. Only person I've seen move that fast was my old drill sergeant." He refilled her beer. "This one's on the house. Thanks for handling that without destroying my bar." "Just wanted to drink in peace." "You got it. Anyone else bothers you, let me know." Maya nodded. The bartender moved away to serve other customers. She'd been in situations like this before. Too many times. Men who thought they could put their hands on her, who thought she'd tolerate it because she was a woman, who learned the hard way that size didn't matter when you knew how to fight. She'd spent 7 years proving herself. 7 years being underestimated. 7 years showing that she could do everything her male counterparts could do. Often better. But it never stopped. The assumptions, the disrespect, the constant testing, the exhaustion of always having to prove she belonged. She finished her beer, decided she'd stayed long enough, started to stand up. "Lieutenant Rodriguez?" Maya turned, saw a young specialist from her unit. Jackson. He'd been at a table across the bar, had seen everything. "Specialist, enjoying your evening?" "Yes, ma'am. I just wanted to say that was the coolest thing I've ever seen. That guy was twice your size, and you put him down like it was nothing." "Training. Anyone can learn it." "Still, it was awesome. The guys are gonna love this story." Maya's expression hardened slightly. "The guys don't need to hear about this. What happens off duty stays off duty. Clear?" Jackson looked disappointed but nodded. "Yes, ma'am, clear." "Good. Have a good night, Specialist." Maya left the bar. The cool night air felt good after the stuffy interior. She walked to her car, unlocked it, sat in the driver's seat. Her hands were shaking. Not from fear, from adrenaline wearing off, from the familiar aftermath of physical confrontation. She'd learned to control it, to channel it. But it was still there, always there. She thought about Kyle, the man who'd grabbed her, wondered if he'd learned anything. Probably not. Men like that rarely did. They'd blame her, call her crazy, tell their friends she overreacted. Never acknowledge that putting hands on a stranger was wrong. She started the car, drove back to base. The weekend stretched ahead, 2 days off. 2 days to recover before Monday and the return to duty. She got back to her quarters, a small apartment off base. Spartan, functional. Not much furniture, no decorations. The home of someone who'd spent years deployed, who didn't put down roots because roots meant attachments, and attachments hurt when you had to leave. She changed out of her civilian clothes, put on Army PT gear, went for a run, 3 miles, fast pace, pushing herself, burning off the remaining adrenaline. When she got back, she showered, made dinner, sat alone at her small table, ate in silence. This was her life, training, leading, fighting when necessary, proving herself constantly, existing in a world that still didn't fully accept that women could be warriors. She'd earned her place. Earned it through sweat and blood and refusing to quit when everything told her to. But earning it once wasn't enough. She had to earn it every single day, every single interaction. The next morning, Maya was at the gym on base. Saturday morning workout. Old habit. She'd never been able to sleep in. Too many years of early formations. She was on the heavy bag. Working combinations. Jab, cross, hook, kick. The bag swung under the impact. She focused on technique, on power, on precision. Nice form. Entraînement. Nios. Maya stopped, turned, saw a woman watching her. Major Sarah Chen, battalion operations officer. Maya had seen her around, but never worked with her directly. "Thank you, ma'am." Chen approached. "I heard about what happened last night, at the bar." Maya tensed. Word travels fast. Small base, big gossip network. Specialist Jackson told his buddies. They told everyone else. By this morning, half the battalion knows you put some civilian on his face for grabbing you. I asked him to remove his hand. He didn't comply. I enforced my request. Chen smiled. "Good. You should have broken his arm. Send a stronger message." Maya blinked. "Ma'am?" "I've been in the Army for 15 years, Lieutenant. I've dealt with men like that more times than I can count. The ones who think rank doesn't matter off duty. Who think they can put their hands on female soldiers and get away with it. Most women freeze, or laugh it off, or let it slide because they don't want to cause a scene. You didn't. You defended yourself. That's exactly what you should have done. Some people might say I overreacted. Some people are idiots. Putting your hands on someone without permission is assault. You responded with appropriate force. You controlled the situation. You didn't escalate beyond what was necessary. That's textbook defense. Anyone who criticizes you for that can deal with me." Maya felt something loosen in her chest. "Thank you, ma'am." "Don't thank me. You did the work. You earned the skills. You used them correctly. That's all you. I'm just making sure you know that what you did was right." Chen paused. "I also wanted to ask you something. I'm putting together a combatives instructor course for female soldiers on base, teaching them what you did. How to defend themselves. How to respond when men cross the line. I want you to help me teach it." "Ma'am, I'm not a certified combatives instructor." "No, but you're certified competent. And more importantly, you've used these skills in real situations, not just training. Real encounters where you had to make split-second decisions. That experience matters. These soldiers need to see women who can defend themselves, who don't back down, who know their worth and enforce their boundaries. You're exactly what they need to see." Maya thought about it. Thought about all the times she'd been grabbed, cornered, harassed. Thought about all the times she'd wished someone had taught her how to respond, how to fight back, how to protect herself. When does it start? Chen smiled. 2 weeks. Every Saturday morning. Voluntary attendance, but I'm expecting a good turnout. You in? Yes, ma'am, I'm in. 2 weeks later, Maya stood in front of 20 female soldiers, all ranks, all ages, all there because they'd experienced what Maya had experienced. Been grabbed, been touched, been made to feel unsafe in places they should have felt safe. "Good morning," Maya said. "I'm Lieutenant Rodriguez. I'm here to teach you how to defend yourselves. Not because you should have to, not because men grabbing you is acceptable, but because it happens anyway, and you deserve to know how to respond. She demonstrated the technique she'd used at the bar. Showed them the wrist grab, the rotation, the leverage, made them practice on each other, corrected their form, emphasized control over aggression. The goal isn't to hurt someone, Maya explained. The goal is to stop the threat, to create distance, to establish that you won't tolerate being touched without permission. You use the minimum force necessary, but you don't hesitate. You don't second guess. You act. A young private raised her hand. Ma'am, what if the person is bigger than you? Stronger? Size doesn't matter if you know what you're doing. I'm 5'7". I weigh 140. The man I defended against at the bar was at least 6'2" and over 200 pounds. He went down anyway because technique beats size. Leverage beats strength. Knowledge beats ignorance. They practiced for 2 hours. By the end, every soldier could execute the basic defense, could break a wrist grab, could create space, could protect themselves. As they filed out, several approached Maya, thanked her, told her they felt more confident, more capable, more prepared. One sergeant stayed behind. Ma'am, I just want to say thank you. I was assaulted 6 months ago, off base. I froze, didn't fight back, didn't report it. I've been carrying that shame ever since. Today I learned that I could have fought back, could have defended myself. That knowledge changes everything. Maya felt a lump in her throat. I'm sorry that happened to you, and I'm glad this helps. But understand that freezing doesn't mean you were weak. Fear is a natural response. Training just gives you other options. But however you respond to a threat is valid. The sergeant nodded. Still, now I have options. That matters. Over the next 3 months, the course grew. More soldiers attended. More women learned to defend themselves. Word spread. The course became legendary. Female soldiers from other units requested permission to attend. Maya became known, not just as a platoon leader, but as someone who stood up, who fought back, who taught others to do the same. The incident at the bar became a teaching moment, a story that circulated with approval instead of mockery. The woman who didn't tolerate disrespect, who enforced her boundaries, who showed that size didn't determine outcomes. 6 months later, Maya was in her office when Major Chen appeared. Got a minute, Lieutenant? Yes, ma'am. Chen closed the door, sat down. I wanted to give you an update. The combatives course you've been teaching? It's being formalized. Army-wide program, female self-defense and combatives training. Mandatory for all female soldiers. You're being recognized as one of the founders. Maya was stunned. Ma'am, I just taught some soldiers how to defend themselves. You did more than that. You started a movement. You showed female soldiers that they don't have to tolerate harassment, that they have the right and the ability to defend themselves. That's changing the culture. That's making the Army safer for women. I'm just one person. One person can change everything. You put a drunk idiot on his face in a bar because he grabbed you. That single action inspired hundreds of soldiers, gave them confidence, gave them skills, gave them permission to fight back. Never underestimate the power of one action. Maya thought about that night, about Kyle's hand on her shoulder, about the decision she'd made in a split second to defend herself instead of laughing it off or moving away. That decision had changed everything, not just for her, but for hundreds of other soldiers who'd learned from it. One moment, one choice, one reaction. Sometimes that's all it takes to change the world. Years later, Maya was a captain, still teaching combatives, still showing soldiers how to defend themselves, still refusing to tolerate disrespect. She'd faced hundreds of Kyles since that night at the bar. Men who thought they could put their hands on her, who thought she'd tolerate it, who learned otherwise. She'd put them all down, every single one. Not with anger, not with ego, just with technique and confidence and absolute certainty that she had the right to defend herself. And every time she did, she thought about the soldiers she'd taught, the women who'd learned from her example, the culture that was slowly changing because enough people refused to accept the old way. Progress was slow, but it was happening, one technique at a time, one soldier at a time, one boundary enforced at a time. And it had started with a simple principle. When someone puts their hands on you without permission, you have the right to respond, with precision, with control, with the absolute confidence that you belong in any space you occupy. Maya had learned that lesson, had taught it to others, and would continue teaching it for as long as she wore the uniform, because some lessons are too important to keep to yourself. Boundaries exist for a reason. When someone crosses them, you have every right to enforce them. Size doesn't determine outcomes. Training does. Confidence does. The willingness to defend yourself does. Women spend too much time being told to laugh it off, to not make a scene, to be polite even when someone disrespects them. That ends when you learn you can fight back. When you learn that your body belongs to you and anyone who touches it without permission faces consequences. The man at the bar learned that lesson in 2 seconds. The soldiers in Maya's classes learned it over months of training. But the principle is the same. You don't have to tolerate disrespect. You don't have to accept being touched. You don't have to freeze or bafimos or make yourself smaller. You can respond. You can defend. You can enforce your boundaries with precision and control. And when you do, you don't just protect yourself. You show others they can do the same.